All right, let's go over how the Mind Pump podcast gets completely wrong how gymnasts actually get big biceps.
From here.
All right, I'm going to tell a story right now of when I really pieced this together. I had a gymnast that worked for me as a trainer years ago. This dude was about, 5'10", jacked, like incredible arms. Like, you ever seen like competitive gymnasts, male gymnasts in particular, female gymnasts too, but male gymnasts, they just have like these like amateur bodybuilding looking arms. And I asked him once, like, what do you do for your biceps? Your arms look crazy. And he goes, chin-ups. I'm like, that's a back exercise. He goes, no, it's a bicep exercise if you do it like this.
Yeah, not just chin-ups, just don't worry about the straight arm bicep work that they do all day long as part of their standard skills training, like planches and Maltesers, that are actually part of their regular training because that's what they're actually going to compete in, unlike chin-ups.
It's like a compound lift for the biceps. In fact, we often accept that for triceps, like close grip bench press or dips.
Right.
For some reason, biceps, we don't do that. Anyway, started doing them, and they're hard, so they're really advanced, and it put the curls to shame.
It's harder because it's a compound movement and you're going to have to use your entire back as well as your core to stabilize it, not just your arms.
Compound lift, heavy, hard, novel,
Right.
all those things for sure. And then also, how many machines do you know where your elbow is positioned up by your ears?
Not just that, it's up by your ears, and then as the exercise progresses, it now moves through this wild range of motion.
Yeah, the range of motion for the back.
Yeah.
My elbow goes from behind by my head to in front of my body to my side, all within the same exercise. So what happens essentially is if you look at the bicep that's connected in 2 points, we're going to simplify. There's 2 heads, but let's just simplify, right? There's 2 points, and when it contracts, it brings them together. But bicep curl exercises bring this part of the bicep closer to this one, right? So when I do this, it's the part that's pulling my lower arm up. When you're doing a chin up, it's doing this almost to both sides. So it's a very
that's just
different
anatomy
field.
straight out wrong. So here he just pretends to actually understand the anatomy of the bicep, knowing it's got 2 heads and knowing it crosses the shoulder. But what he's actually saying about the length of the bicep changing is actually the complete opposite. The bicep does cross the shoulder, but when you're bringing the elbow down like you are during a pull-up, the bicep isn't getting shorter at the shoulder, it's getting longer at the same time as it's getting shorter at the elbow, which means that rather than both ends coming together, the entire bicep actually isn't really changing much length at all, which is part of the reason why this is a subpar bicep exercise, because the range of motion and the length change during the bicep is actually almost nil. Now, I love chin-ups. I'm a calisthenics guy. I do them all the time, but they are not the greatest bicep exercise. If you want to grow biceps with just your body weight, you've got way better alternatives out there that are more single joint focused and will stress your bicep more, namely ring curls and pelican curls, which are going to target both the lengthen range and shorten range and isolate the bicep in a better fashion without having to involve your entire lat and back structure or any unnecessary stabilizers. It's nuts to me how big the Mind Pump podcast following is, considering how little I've actually seen of their content and how much I've seen them get completely wrong within that content. So if you're looking for a fitness podcast, I'd probably pick a different one because there are plenty of good people out there and these guys just aren't them.